Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Better Opinion. I am your host, Kevin. I am once again joined by my Skinwalker co-host, Manser.
You don't know that for sure. I'm not a skinwalker this time.
This time,
I I was never a skinwalker ever. I don't know what you're talking about.
oh, I don't believe you. But today, we have a few things that we can talk about. One of which is that some
Skinwalking up.
Yes, so skinwalking, something Nintendo is really into. They're also really into making things I won't buy now.
Yeah, Nintendo made a really nice new skinwalker. He's really fitting into the Switch skin. Is like
Looks just like the Switch.
It's just somehow all that girth into such a small system made it wider.
Well, they saw Overwatch 2 and they said, hey, we can make free money.
Yeah, I love free money. Whenever I assume
Whenever I murder someone and steal their identity, I empty out their bank accounts because it's just free. I mean, you can just take it.
I wouldn't know about that. It's like I assume skinwalkers go through that a lot, though.
Oh yeah, you assume, but you don't know for sure.
Yeah, I don't know for sure. But anyway, actually getting
the Switch 2. This was your topic, actually.
Yeah, it was.
So what did you want to say?
It feels like consoles are not really exciting anymore. It's like the Switch 2 came out, we got all this information, and I was like,
oh yeah, I don't care about it.
Yeah.
You know what? Here's the thing. If you asked me, do you like your Switch? I would say the use I got out of it, I enjoyed, right? I always took it with me when I traveled. It was good for planes. My partner and I would often play Mario Kart or Mario Tennis, or basically Mario because nothing else on the console besides Zelda matters. We would play those on the flights, and then eventually she'd get bored and go to sleep, and then I would play like, I don't know, Legend of Zelda, or something like that. And that was fine, right? That was good. Animal Crossing was Animal Crossing. It's exactly what you expect, and that was all relatively good, right?
yeah.
But then when we reach the era that we're in now, and they say it's the Switch 2. I go, well, what is this bringing to the table? Because I don't play anything except first-party Nintendo IPs on my Switch.
Yeah.
Because if it's not a first-party Nintendo IP, then I can buy it on my computer, which I would rather use.
Yes. That's I think the problem with all of these consoles is like I can play them on my computer, and most of the time they're better.
Yeah.
And most of the time they're also cheaper because nothing on like the PS5, the Xbox, or the Switch ever go on sale.
Many years ago, we both know JJ, right? Agent A's is his screen name.
Oh.
Yeah, JJ. He got selected back when, the PS5 was a premium product and no one could get it, to be able to buy one direct from them, right?
Yeah.
And he was like, you want it? Because I know there's some games you want to stream. And I was like, sure. So I bought it. Back then I had an excess of money. It was COVID. Like I wasn't spending my money anywhere. And so I bought one. I used it twice, right? I used it for God of War, and I used it, which I think eventually came to PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I used it for Demon's Souls Remake, right? Which I own the original Demon's Souls.
Yeah.
And you can also, I'm pretty sure, just emulate the original Demon's Souls.
Yes.
So, it was like, wow, that was a really, really expensive brick I have in my closet.
Yeah, and like, do those games ever go on sale? I wonder.
Not really. And this is sort of the point, right? Is that like everything that is exclusive to PlayStation, except for a few things like Bloodborne, will eventually come to PC. And if they don't, they're usually not good enough. With like I said, like Bloodborne and Demon's Souls, they kept them on the console, which is a mistake. I think that they're Microsoft, with all of its faults, and it has a lot of them, one of the things that they realized was this console thing just isn't, it's not a race. It's not worth being a part of anymore. It's time to give up.
They also realized they cannot make a storefront after Games for Windows Live, whatever the fuck they have now, and they finally bought the Blizzard launcher. That was great too. They're still putting everything on Steam.
Yep. Yeah. Well, and you know what? Here's the thing. People always forget there are other e-commerce platforms that are successful. GOG.
I do love using GOG because they have one great selling point. You own your game. There is no DRM. You can just install it.
Yeah, that's crazy. And you know what? You know, because I remember during the whole Epic Store bullshit, and everyone was debating that, and Tim Sweeney couldn't stop talking with his weird golden retriever-esque face. This is the war, we got to fight, and Gabe Newell did nothing, said nothing, and won.
Yeah, he seems to do that a lot.
Yeah,
It's
he just
crazy.
doesn't open his mouth and just like continues off, just doing business.
Yeah, Tim Sweeney came out with this wonderful store that you could only buy one game at a time with, that didn't have a wish list,
Data mined your computer.
Yeah, data mined your computer, that really didn't have a lot of features, but it was competitive.
Well, it was competition, and everyone said Steam had none, except for all the other e-commerce platforms that Steam supports. For like Humble Bundle, for example, they are a fully functioning e-commerce platform, and Steam. I'm pretty sure, unless something has changed, the way I understand the system works is that on Steam, as a developer, you can generate as many keys as you want for free.
I believe so. Yes.
It's the rule of thumb. This is Steam's one rule, and it's something that people keep getting mad at them for. They have two rules, actually. Two rules. One, if you want to use their platform, you got to let them sell it on Steam as well. And two, you cannot undercut the Steam price. Some people recently got very upset about this and tried to turn it into an anti-Valve thing again, to which, once again, it doesn't say they tell you how much you have to sell it for. It doesn't say that you can't do sales. It only says if you price it for $50 on Steam, you can't go price it somewhere else for $30.
You can't undercut it.
But you can lower the price on Steam to $30.
Yeah.
And then also do it there.
I don't understand it. I'll be honest. I also don't understand how people could argue against Steam in terms of consoles. Like the Nintendo Switch is big offering is they added Discord to their...
Everybody keeps doing that. We've added Discord to our console, and I'm like, well, Discord is sunsetting. Like, they've already sold out. Now you can buy their premium penis bucks, the Discord orbs, so that you can buy some shit that no one gives a fuck about.
Yeah, you can put Discord on there now. You can do game cloud backups, which Steam has had forever. And was it Steam game sharing? Is Steam just brings so much value to like every game that you do not have to develop. Do you ever think about the fact that Steam gives you like gamepad compatibility just to you?
To any, you can plug it, just plug it in. PlayStation, Xbox, just plug it in.
I don't know if any of you guys actually remembered back in the day, if you try to get like a PS3 pad to work with any Windows game, you had to like get this weird
you had to get a program and then code the button. You had to tell it which buttons correspond to what. And it would say that it pre-knew, but it didn't. It was always a little wrong.
Yeah.
And it was very archaic. It looked like an old like 90s Windows menu.
And Bluetooth, I don't think always worked that great. But now it just
plug and play.
It just works for you, and you don't even have to use it specifically for Steam games.
No, you can use it for anything.
Yeah,
Steam will still do the talking for you.
Yeah, you just pull up Steam, and it will do it for you. It's like what? I don't understand the complaints. They take a 30% cut.
They take a 30% cut, which is what every store does, physical and online.
And they offer, and like they give you more than any other store does. Does Epic Games like have cloud saves for you?
Who knows? I think what they have is a picture of Tim Sweeney at checkout, that whenever he gives you a free game, it just says, "Hey there, fellas, I'm spending way too much money on this. Enjoy, it's on me." And he's just like giving a thumbs up.
I thought about, like, I picked up some of the free games, but even then it's like
I never did.
It's like I randomly find out I have these games.
Yeah, people tell me all the time, "Oh, well, this was free on Epic 6 months ago." And I said, "Wow, 6 months ago? That was 4 years after I played it."
That's crazy.
If I haven't played it now, what makes you think I want to?
Yeah.
like that was the thing, is it was like by the time it's free on Epic, I've already played it or I never will.
Yeah. And it's crazy. I feel like a lot of developers underestimate like a PC player's willingness to wait.
Yeah.
It's like PlayStation is like we're gonna release it a year later. It's like they're gonna buy our consoles, and I don't think that really happened.
No, it didn't happen. It never happened. Now they're putting all their games on PC, and that's what everyone's doing. And it's because so here's the thing. There was a time in history where computers were mostly designed as workstations.
Yeah.
They had games, but they were primarily workstations. And a console was specially designed for minimum hardware necessary, maximum output.
Yes.
Right? Every part was designed to work together. Every part was designed to work with the programs used to make the games. The games were designed exclusively for that hardware, so they always functioned, right? But with our generation getting older and older, because our generation are the ones that really grew up with video games, that's our primary hobby. And for a lot of people in our generation, it is a hobby they have to some degree or another.
Yeah.
And because of that, the technology has continued to advance in a way where both the operating systems that exist and the hardware that exists is all designed to be good for gaming, because people spend more time on their PC gaming than they do doing much of anything else. And the things that you use a computer for as a workstation, with a few multimedia exceptions such as video editing, simply do not need the power that exists in your average computer now.
Yeah, most people can do it just on their phone.
Yeah, your phone, your shitty tablet, they can do everything that the average workstation needs.
Yes.
So if you have a computer, it is probably more powerful than you will ever need, and it can run a video game.
Yes.
And that's the thing. Go ahead. Sorry, I see you have
the problem used to be if you got a computer, you had all this friction actually getting the game to work, and I feel like
it's gone.
It's going away.
There's very little friction, with some exceptions, because modern developers are like terrible, and so they were just like, all right, I haven't optimized my game. I've compressed nothing. It takes 10 years to load. There are a trillion shaders. We added a bunch of visual effects that you won't notice if you turn them off, but they do ruin everything. The game crashes. Do you like it?
Honestly, I think Total Biscuit, rest in peace, has done a lot to help the modern PC gaming in like bringing up what PC features we want,
right,
and should be like standard in every game. And you also just have, for those people who don't want to tweak, I was like, I'll just put it on low and run it. And what do you have on consoles? It feels like you're getting more friction. More features are becoming paid for. I remember when I learned the PS4, you had to pay for online. I was like, oh, I have never
said since way back in the day, I've said this. I think it should be illegal that they charge you to use your own internet.
Yeah.
And people would say like illegal. And I'm like, yeah, I think because what are they charging you for? Well, the servers. What servers? It's peer-to-peer. Like what, the browser page? Well, that's mostly on the console. It's only the information is populated from a server somewhere. A server that is also populating their website with the same information. So I'm just confused. Is it the peer-to-peer server? Well, who cares? They're Microsoft or whoever. They're running a million peer-to-peer. It's a peer-to-peer connection server. I could turn that computer on and create a peer-to-peer connection server, because all it's doing is routing the other computers to each other. It's not actually even hosting the communication. It's just it's just inviting them over for tea.
Yeah.
They're the ones at the table serving the tea. It just said, come over. And then it left.
And it's like the only like draw was like, oh, my friend is on Xbox, so I have to play on Xbox. But now everything is
cross-platform.
Cross-platform. I was like, oh,
when a game doesn't have cross-platform, you look at it like, damn, really? You're that stupid?
Like they should have done this a long time ago. But it's like now that everything's cross-platform, I'm on my PC and I've paid free, well, except for my internet cost, to like game, and like I'm looking at these guys like, damn, your cheap consoles with your $60 a year internet for how long?
I truly hate it, because I hate the idea that I have to pay you for the right to use my own internet. It's astonishing. You know, like I've paid you for the console, I've paid you for the game, and now I have to pay you to use my internet.
And this has been for as long as I think original Xbox.
Yeah, and then you look at some of these games like Call of Duty, you know, they started making those with no campaign for a while.
Yeah.
And so you were just buying a multiplayer game. You paid for the game, you paid for the console, and you can't use either of them because you didn't pay them for your internet. Yeah. It's insane. It is insane.
There's that, and there's also cloud saves. You have to pay for cloud saves. And it's like...
well, here's the thing. At least you could argue that is data space that you are paying for.
But I have it for free.
Steam has it for free. Well,
not even just Steam. GOG has it for free.
Oh, that's pretty bad.
GOG. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if you do that.
I didn't know that.
If you have the GOG launcher,
I only have like 2 GOG games, and I've already played them. So
yeah, if it's like that's the worst part. GOG is not like a huge platform, but on their launcher you get free cloud saves. I can do it on my Linux machine for any Windows game. I don't even have to have the launcher.
You have to. Like I was kind of like giving them a like at least like there is an argument there. But if GOG can do it, you should probably just turn off your company. Just turn it off.
Yeah, not even that.
You're done.
I can do it myself. There are programs that I could just put on Dropbox, my fucking local cloud saves for emulators to cloud save somewhere. It was like or whatever. Not even emulators for my actual games. And it's like there's so many free ways, good ways to do cloud saves that are just
saves aren't even big files.
Yeah, they're not.
They're because they just reference a bunch of things. They don't actually hold anything themselves. So like, you know, if you get a free Google Drive or a free Dropbox account, then that is enough space for probably every save you'll ever make.
And here's the thing. I have a bunch of Steam games. Never has Steam said like, oh, you've run out of space.
Yeah.
That's never happened to me.
It's never happened. Yeah. No. Well, except Kenshi. You can't cloud save Kenshi saves.
I think that's a developer problem.
It is. The saves are so complicated and they store so much data. That is very related to the install that like when you try to it just doesn't work. They don't upload.
I see.
I don't quite understand how it works, but like I remember reading a post from the developer about why there's no cloud saves for Kenshi. But still, like point being is like, yeah, no, consoles are at a point where they are just kind of like they're trying. You know, Nintendo left the rat race to just focus on handhelds, but now the Steam Deck exists.
People point out that the Nintendo Switch 2 runs better than the Steam Deck, and I kind of think to myself,
yeah, but like even if that's probably true because the Steam Deck is just a computer.
It is. I mean, it's true. I'm not gonna say it doesn't like perform worse, but like also the Steam Deck came out how many years ago?
Well, there's also something to be said. So this goes back to what I was saying earlier. Consoles are specialized.
Yeah.
You have a bunch of parts that are all specifically designed to work together. It's uniform, always uniform, right? And the programs made for it are all made with exactly one thing in mind.
Yes.
They are made in mind with one set of memory, one CPU, one graphics card. They are designed only to work with this object, right?
And when people develop games for it, they use like the
developer kit for that console.
Yeah.
So everything.
But it's like I understand this, you understand this, but most people do not understand.
Right, but that's why I'm explaining it. So the Steam Deck is like a computer. Computers, there's a reason that Michael and I both got Stalker 2. I had the horrible performance problems. I turned off like 2 settings and everything was fixed. He followed my exact instructions and crashed to desktop. Why? I have an NVIDIA GPU and he has an AMD Fire. It's just on fire, right? Much cheaper, great piece of hardware for the money, doesn't function, catches on fire, right? And no drivers. And so he's laughing because he knows it's true.
Yeah.
Drivers are good now, 4 years later.
4 years later, right?
Yeah, there's a weird... Well, it's weird because now NVIDIA drivers are bad.
Yeah, well, NVIDIA's
And
gone downhill.
AMD is still not good.
Well,
but
yeah. Well, I bought an AMD ARC card to play with a while back. It causes a blue screen.
Oh, you mean Intel Arc?
Intel Arc. Sorry. I meant Intel Arc. Yeah, I bought an Intel Arc card to play around with. I was like, oh, AV1 encoding. Interesting. Well, you know what? I encoded some AV1 video. Do you know what it looked like? A still picture. It was a 40 gigabyte still image. Very cool.
Yeah. The unfortunate thing about I want Intel to succeed.
I would love if they would.
But
they just they just keep going like, I bought this firearm and loaded it. Check it out.
Intel just doesn't. I feel like Intel still is working like they're in the lead when they're not.
Yeah, no. Well, I bought some in Intel stock because it's at like the greatest discount of all time. I mean, maybe I'll lose my money if they go out of business, but I feel like maybe one day it's going to be worth a lot.
Yeah.
But the point is, the point going back to it is that when you design a computer for just you design a game for a computer, you have to like design it for all these variables, and so it does lead to it just being a little more complicated, and it's why computers on average are just a little more complicated. If you look at the memory I have in my current computer and you try to look up what it's compatible with, the list is like 1,000 lines long of just things that it is technically compatible with. Yeah. Right. And none of these parts are made perfectly to go together. And so that causes complications, which in turn, I see you have a thought, but I'm trying to finish this thought, is the Steam Deck is a computer that is designed to be a handheld. It is just a laptop with controllers on the side and it's compact. That's what it really is.
Handheld.
Yeah. I will say one good thing about the computer being supported for so long is that it supports much older games. I won't say this for the recent NVIDIA cards that do not support
anything.
Well, they don't support. It's like what was the like Arkham Asylum, like the physics. They don't support old physics anymore. So if you played an old Arkham Asylum game, the original one, and then go through like a smoky room, it will run like shit because it's running off your CPU.
I didn't know that.
That's for like the newest like 5090 or something. So that's one bad thing. But here's the thing. Computers are running things relatively good. It's hard to find like computer parts that don't run things decently. But a weird thing about consoles is it feels like it's like the new console generation came out. Why are we still at 30 frames per second?
Right. Why are we still at 30 frames per second? Like, people think it's weird when you run a game. When I'm streaming a game and I say, oh yeah, I keep it capped at 60 frames a second, they're like, why? Why not 120? And I go, because this is the difference. And I switch between them and I go, can you see it? Because I can't.
Yeah.
But the jump in performance is astronomical in this really unoptimized game.
Yeah.
If it's really optimized, I'll let it, This is an aside. Have you ever noticed that for some reason, every developer defaults to uncapped frame rates? And I go, why do I need 300 frames a second? It doesn't look any different because our eyes can't see that.
Yeah. I think it might be for benchmarks.
But you then use the benchmark program.
Yeah, but people like to see big numbers. They don't understand. If you give it to like a random gamer, do you think that they'll like they'll think to?
But why does it default to that? Why doesn't it just in the settings? Why isn't there an uncapped option, but it caps at something normal? Because realistically, you should always be adjusting your frame. Just as a general advice to people out there, you should always be adjusting your frame rate in chunks of 30, 60, 90, 120. Because
that's often what your refresh rate is at. It's like 120 is like it's what it's divisible by, I think.
Usually, yeah. And so like it's weird that it defaults to uncapped, because I remember when New World came out and everyone was saying it was bricking graphics cards.
It was
was the main menu, and it was specifically that huge piece of shit that they released, the 2090, 4090.
I think it was
4090.
It was one of the 90 cards.
Yeah. And I don't remember when 90 started, because for a while it was 80 and they never had a 90. 3090. It was 3090 was getting bricked, and everyone was saying it's because they programmed it. No. The actual reason is both companies' fault. It was because the main menu of Perfect World had uncapped frame rates with no safety limiters at all. And in turn, the graphics card had no safety limiters, which the 80s did. 80 and under all have safety limiters where if the card goes too hot, it will not put out any more power, even if it's capable of it. The 90s didn't. So what happened is they were trying to have a 3,000 frame rate and burning out. That's what actually happened. And that's why I was really annoyed when that happened, because people kept being like, oh, I'm not going to touch that game. It's burning out graphics cards. I said, did you just read a headline? Did you do zero research? Because you and your 1060 are fine, my friend.
Because the problem is if a graphics card burns out, it's usually the graphics card's manufacturer. That's the issue. It's not.
Well, that was the thing, is it was. So NVIDIA was replacing it, but the company still felt bad because it was their uncapped, like a true uncapped. Because sometimes when it says uncapped, it doesn't really mean uncapped. Yeah. It means uncapped within safety limits.
It's probably like 600 frames.
But they had like a truly uncapped main menu.
Yeah.
Right? Which is because they were buying their dime store developers straight out of like community college to do all their programming.
Yeah.
Amazon, baby. But that's the thing is, these things exist and they function pretty well, but for some reason I'm loading up a game and I'm like, why does it run like shit? And it's because it's trying to get 300 frames and I don't need that. So why is it set default to like, I don't know. That was all an aside. To go back to the original point though, at the end of the day, when I look at the Switch 2 and people are like, you're going to get a Switch 2? I'm like, probably not. It's actually the same thing that happened with the Steam Deck. I had people say, would you get a Steam Deck? And I said, if I was given a Steam Deck, I'd be glad I had it. But I own a laptop. So there is no environment where I will play a video game wherein I would need the Steam Deck instead of the laptop. Yeah. Because I don't play Kenshi at the dentist. Right?
Why not? Why aren't you playing Kenshi at the dentist?
But you get my point, right? It's like there's no Steam game I want to play where the environment where I can play my laptop on a plane. It just might be better on the Steam Deck because planes suck.
Yeah. I find the same. I mostly have my Steam Deck because I'm a nerd, but it's like I often find, well, I'm at home. It's like I could probably lie down or play this, or I could just sit on my computer and have a decent frame rate. But I like tinkering around and just like maybe I want to try out a combo for a bit. Right. It's like something quick, but oftentimes if I really want to play a game, I want to sit down and do it. But that's just the type of person I am.
I can see use cases for it. If someone gifted it to me, I would probably get weekly use out of it, but those weekly uses don't justify me spending the money. Yeah. Right? It's I don't have 700 or however much it is right now.
I think it's like less than $500.
Whatever, right? Like I don't have whatever it is right now. Is it over $100? I don't have it. So, that is like, but if you handed me it right now and said, enjoy, I have use cases for it. Yeah. Which I don't have for the
Switch 2.
The Switch 2, because it has like 4 games.
Because the wonderful thing about the Steam Deck is it has your entire Steam library. You don't have to pay $60 to buy Witcher 3 again, once more.
And I don't have to pay Steam $60 to use my internet.
What? It's like you don't even
He's insane. He's been using his own internet for 16 hours.
It's like the crazy thing is Steam's competition, Epic, you can install it on there. It's like Steam is so shocked and like really not preventing you from doing this or putting GOG or anything on there. They're not really stopping you.
Well, Gabe Newell just said we have to have a vice grip on the industry. That's the quote that he said. Yeah, I remember.
We have to have a vice grip on the industry by giving gamers a better experience.
I think he tried to sell Steam to Microsoft at one point, or some company. I don't remember if it was Sony or Microsoft or who, but they laughed him out of the building.
I don't know.
I think it was Microsoft.
Oh, well, Microsoft is often idiots.
Yeah, they've regretted that for a long time.
I bet so.
Yeah. But, it's for the better. It would have never become this successful.
It would not be the platform it is today.
I don't even think it would have become this successful because a lot of those decisions are just because of Valve's philosophy.
It will become games for Windows Live.
Do you want to know why we get so many good quality of life things on Steam? It's because it only takes one person at Valve to go, that's a good idea, I'm going to make it. And Valve goes, okay, because of their corporate structure, you choose your own projects.
Yeah.
Right? And it can be whatever you want. There are no managers. Team leads are elected by all the people who just want to participate in a project. Usually the guy who had the idea, right? Unless someone else is just like a better team lead and they say, oh, can you do the team lead, right? And other people just go, oh, I like that project, I want to be a part of it, and they just go join, right? Everyone's computers, workstations are all on wheels. They just roll them around the office. And some people have said that this is a bad structure. The reasons they describe are also the reasons why it's good, because no structure is permanent or perfect. I mean,
yeah.
But it's because it's kind of like why, we've talked in past episodes about this on like Space Station 13, right? I don't need to talk about that, but projects like that where it's like it's just sort of open source, anybody can get involved. What ends up happening is people who have a real passion for it learn to develop for it simply to add things they think need to be added that no one else is going to do.
Yeah.
And over time, it just becomes better and better because more and more people want to contribute.
Yeah.
Simply because they have a passion for it.
Yes.
Right? And that's why Steam has all these features that we're complimenting, is that someone just said, I just think it should exist, or it's a good idea. It was either good feedback or they came up with it and they're like, go ahead. If you can make it work, then sure.
Yeah.
That's their structure. That's how they do things. So, that would never have worked under Microsoft, right?
Yeah. I feel like it will have just been destroyed. They will have gotten rid of it.
It would just be run by a bunch of fresh out of college 40 grand a year programmers.
Yeah.
They all graduated from DeVry and now they're ready to go.
Yeah.
They're ready to create an engine that doesn't work.
Well, it's not that. Thank God. Thank fucking God.
But yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I feel like Valve has created, I don't know if other people can hear the cooking that's going on upstairs, but either way, just pointing out that's what it is. I think that Valve has created something that over time has contributed to a system where consoles are more and more being proven to be outdated because everything that you need that a console used to provide now exists. It didn't used to. There was a time when Steam didn't have any social systems. It was still provided by the games.
Yeah.
Right? But now every game that releases on Steam just uses Steam's friends features, Steam's social features. I load up Dune and all of my friends playing the game on Steam are in my friends list already.
And Steam also has the DS share thing. It's like, what was that called? Wireless share that Nintendo Switch decided is like this is a pretty good idea to have again. It just works on Steam for like almost any game.
Yeah. I think that at this point, owning a console is weird. I actually remember I have a friend who buys consoles, and I said to them, I said, why? And I said, well, I want to play in the living room. I said, I can play in the living room.
I have a long HDMI cable to play on that TV right there.
I could literally take my wireless keyboard and mouse into the living room, leaving my computer where it is, and connect to the living room PC wirelessly if I wanted to. And I've done this, and it just worked. And I played a game in the living room.
Yeah. And Valve has made a nice controller-friendly UI that you can use. In fact, since I run Linux, I can just boot up a version of like the Steam Deck UI on my TV and just do that shit.
Yeah, it's one of those things where there's actually nothing stopping you. But maybe if you really want that, like no chance for delay, you buy a really long HDMI cable. Or display cable if that's your jam. But like you can, there's no reason, there's no cost that exists for connecting my PC to any TV in the house that is greater than the cost of a console.
And the thing is, console used to have a thing where if you put in a disc, you can just play it. That's not a thing anymore.
No, you have to install it like
you
a
have to
computer.
install it. And it's like I'm thinking to myself, what even is the point of a console at this point?
It's just a shitty computer.
Well, it's a shittier computer.
A shitty proprietary computer
that has less features, and it's like any of the it's like it's nicer to use my computer now too, because it used to be nicer to like run something on a console, like you had all your social features and stuff on there. Well, not anymore. It's like now a lot of those features I have to pay for.
It's all paid for,
and now it's free on my Steam thing.
You have to pay Microsoft $15 a month, $10 a month if you don't want the premium bonus edition to use your own internet on Xbox. But if you use Game Pass Xbox for computer on your computer, there is no charge.
Because they know if they charged you, you wouldn't use it.
You wouldn't use it.
Because
it's my PC.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's literally you are buying a shitty proprietary PC so that you can pay to use your own internet, so you can access all of the things that you can access on your computer. If you subscribe to Game Pass on your computer, you get all the same benefits. You can even plug in your gamepad, your Xbox gamepad, and play it like it's an Xbox.
Because here's the thing, it's not even cheaper anymore. I refuse to believe that like owning like an Xbox or a like PS5 is cheaper anymore, because so much stuff is just that you have to pay for on these systems are just free on PC. And also my PC can play any game that I used to have, any game that I'm going to have like in the future. It's like, unless there's like a major like hardware thing, which
you can buy a top of the line graphics card from 2 generations ago that can run anything that exists for super cheap.
Yeah.
You know, you can buy it even just secondhand, and you can build a $500 computer.
Yes.
And have it run everything well. You just have to buy the right parts, and the right parts aren't even obscure.
Yeah.
You can buy them used and get it even cheaper.
Yeah.
The most expensive thing that you're going to buy is going to be your CPU and your graphics card.
Yeah.
And you can get a couple generations old to go super cheap on both of those.
Yeah. And what you can even do is you can get a very cheap graphics card now and just get a more expensive one later.
Yeah.
Just so it supports like the most recent stuff. And I understand that that's all complicated, but what you end up having is like,
it's complicated-ish. It only seems complicated if you know nothing.
Yeah.
But if you take the time to just like, you don't even have to know why everything works, only that it does, and read the instructions. I feel like computer parts are so plug and play nowadays.
Yeah.
You don't even really need to do much of anything.
Yeah. Oftentimes what happens is like someone tells me, like, oh, my frames aren't correct. It's not, it's because your HDMI is plugged into the wrong thing.
Yeah.
It's like,
well, I remember, because I remember I built my new PC and you and Mike just came over and we did it in like 45 minutes. In fact, it was so easy that at some point I was like, I'm just going to go over there. I'm in your way. Because it's like you don't really even need multiple hands. Eventually, that's what became. Mike walked away, and it was just you, because it was like this is so uncomplicated. There's a waste of time to have multiple people sitting here.
yeah.
Like it was really, really easy. And that's
I
always been
think
that
the
way.
hardest part was Windows.
That is the hardest part. And you know what? I will say this. We've talked about this plenty of times.
Yeah.
Zero podcasts since Linux installment discussed. In my ideal world, Linux would be what I'm using, right? But Linux does not exist in my ideal world yet, and right now the devil is the one I have to go with. I would like that to be different. I'm really hoping maybe they release Steam OS for PCs one day.
They're working on it. I think the closest thing is Bazite. I can like give you ways to try it. Is the best thing I can like. It's like I can like put on like if you have an old laptop, I can give it to you. So
well, I have that old laptop that you fixed, and then the graphics card died.
It's like, yeah, I could set it up on there.
But the graphics card doesn't work.
Does the iGPU work?
Ish.
Fine enough. It's like you underestimate how well Linux will work. It's like I don't know. Have you seen my old busted up laptop? It's here somewhere.
Well, I know about your little Raspberry Pi over there.
The Raspberry Pi works well. I have this laptop that I've had for like 2 decades. I haven't booted it up, but like it's so shitty. Like every time I have to use it, I have to take it apart and plug the hard drive back in. I've used that for so fucking long on Arch.
I think this is I think recently what you've been dealing with Beyond is the example of why I feel frustrated. There's people can argue with me 6 ways to next Tuesday, and then I will have something.
Yeah.
And then I'll be like, nope, doesn't work. And I go, fuck. And then you go, well, you can just boot up, you can run like Windows in a box in the corner of your screen. And I'm like, okay. And then you did that.
Yeah.
That didn't work.
It didn't work. And what eventually happened is that I got it to work on Linux because it's a weird thing. But I agree, it's not a solution. It's not a solution for like a regular user who just wants to use Beyond. And I'll agree with that for like a lot of apps. That's why I'll always say if all you do is use your computer for productivity, it's fine. But if you want to do anything that's niche, and Beyond is a niche program.
It's very niche, yeah. I do a lot of niche stuff.
Yeah, it's going to be very difficult. And you probably will want to use Windows, and maybe if you can find a way to do it, maybe you can do it. But
I mean, there's going to come a day when I have to switch because Windows 11 is a piece of shit. Anyone who says otherwise is wrong. On my little server box, that little mini server I got for just running like local games with friends, on PC, like Arc servers and stuff. That thing has Windows 11 on it because it just came with it. I fucking hate it. I hate it. The menus I don't know. I feel like there's someone at Microsoft who will just look at something that everyone likes and they'll go, all right, this is good. It works and everyone's used to it. What if we deleted it and started over with something way uglier and worse?
Well, because here's the thing. Microsoft's after your telemetry. They just want to get more data. They already know they have you. It's like you're not their I say this for Google as well. You're not their customer anymore. They don't care about selling to you. They don't care about your experience. It's like they're just trying to like get more data from you. And it's like they'll say to their like advertisers like, "Oh, grandma looked up cookie folder on her like computer. She accidentally did a Bing search." It's like, "Look, guys, Bing is working. Someone's searching for cookie recipes on our Bing website. It's not a failure, I swear."
Yeah.
And that's what happened.
We got this data on this Kevin guy. He's been looking at Panda Girls for 16 hours. Did you want to buy his data?
Because the weird thing is data is kind of used for something now. It's used for AI. It's like, so it's
yeah. Well, they're hoping one day that they have a finished product.
I will say, for Microsoft's sake, they are apparently working on performance for Windows 11 because they announced their new handheld and they're like trying to actually make something that's usable.
I don't really want to use Windows anymore. The problem is that every time I ever consider switching, there's always a reason why I shouldn't or won't. Something I do, something I use doesn't run well on it, even if it runs. And that's the problem, is that the primary things I use my computer for are multimedia, gaming, video editing, audio editing. And people be like, oh, well, you can use Fuckboy. That's my favorite program. Anus 12 is great for video editing. It's unintuitive, looks completely different, and is missing a lot of features. And you can't download any custom effects made by other people. But it's called Asshole, so that appears in the top line as I named it Asshole.
Yeah.
You ever make that program, by the way?
Not yet. No. One day I remember the name Penis Long Long. I will.
Yeah. We need to have Penis Long Long, the video player. Yeah, it's important. It's for proprietary. Our fork of VLC. It's good.
Yeah. One day, when I'm very bored, I'll make it with maybe.
But anyway, yeah, I think getting away from that topic though, and kind of returning to the base idea here, is that I think at the end of the day, we're kind of seeing that it worked for Nintendo to make this move away to try to do things that everyone else wasn't doing, but now we're seeing that even that's catching up. The Steam Deck has reintroduced handhelds, because the problem was there was a lot of handhelds, and then there was just Nintendo, and then like they controlled that environment, and that was how they that and like weird motion controls is how they like escaped the race, the console war. But now we're seeing, well, Steam Deck has reintroduced the idea of handhelds from other people, and it's introduced a universal one that's just a laptop. And so now you look and you go, so what are Nintendo consoles for? They're for Nintendo games. Why am I paying $300, $400, $500, $600, $700 for a console just so I can pay $60, $70 for a game?
Well, it's $80 these days.
Fucking kill me. So then the reality is everyone stopped buying, and they will still buy it. But I notice a lot of people, I actually think the Switch 2 is going to be the first time they have to look in the mirror. People are saying I'm wrong. I think it may not immediately change their strategy, because the Japanese companies are incredibly stubborn.
Yeah.
It's something about Japanese corporate culture. They will look directly at an oncoming train and go, we've always traditionally stood right here, but like the reality is that this is going to be the moment, because I know so many Switch lovers who have said they're not going to buy a Switch 2. And I think they're going to see that. They're going to see, oh, that's like a pretty big drop off. And it may not make them change direction yet. If they're smart, it will. I doubt it. But in the long run, this is already them going to have to figure out a new strategy, because as it stands, the only reason you bought a Switch was for handheld first party games. And like whenever I see a third party game come to Switch, I go, why would I ever want that? Because it's Red Dead finally came to Switch. Well, I played Red Dead years ago. Many years ago, 7 years ago, right? So why do I care?
Is it the new Red Dead? No, it's like the same thing, except we put it on the Switch. Well, here's the thing. I think the Switch, like people are already saying, it's sold pretty well. I'm pretty sure most of it is just people who aren't paying attention or don't know.
Well, sold pretty well. You misunderstand me. The difference between sold pretty well and sold as well are different things.
Yes.
Right? Listen, I did product management for 10 years. When you can look at a number and be like, oh, I remember this happened. The company I was working for made so much money, hundreds of millions. It was actually $500 million in like a certain 2-year time frame, where a bunch of stuff happened that created momentum in the business that we were able to fulfill what our competitors could not. And I saw a bunch of executives mistakenly believe that this was just the telemetry of the organization. Up was the way. This is where it was going to go. Line is going to keep going up because we're this good. And I said, that's not what's happening. And they said, well, no, I mean, we've accounted for that fact. I said, you haven't clearly. You are setting targets and doing behaviors and hiring as if you believe that what was the primary selling point here was the quality of our product, not the availability of it. And lo and behold, my prediction came true. While we didn't just immediately plummet. Every projection they made was massively wrong, because the thing that was the motivator stopped being the thing. And now there is this big gap in the way they had planned for the next 10 years. But they didn't see it at first. The first year, they just said, oh, we just overestimated. And then they kept projecting. I said, no, you got to cut all this in half. They didn't listen to me. 6 years later, I'm like, so I was right. And they're like, because what was happening is that each one, it was like, oh, but we still sold really well. We still did really well. We did really well because we still are in an environment where we just gained a lot of customers and we have a lot of availability. And we've expanded so that availability is attracting customers, but we didn't do as you projected. I'm telling you, line isn't going to keep going up. You think it is.
One thing I'm impressed by is they actually got availability over the scalpers.
I mean, that is good. But my point that I'm making is that there's just these indicators. It's going to sell really well. So we made $500 million. The next year we made 2/5 of $1 billion, right? And I'm like, that's still really good, right? Yeah, but why isn't it half? Why isn't it Why isn't it 3/5? Why isn't it at 3/4? Right? Because line isn't going to keep going up, and we need to change our strategy because we're overspending and under receiving, and it wasn't until 4 years later of overspending and underachieving that everyone said, okay, maybe we need to change our strategy.
I feel like Nintendo does this a lot. They get on their high horse. The Wii did very well, so like, the Wii U will do fine. It's like they marketed it shittily, and then the Wii U is
it was a prototype product that should have never existed to begin with.
Yeah.
But they just believed, everybody loves the Wii, so we'll just make. I have encountered like 4 Wii U users in the wild.
I got a Wii U.
I know. I'm looking at you. You're number 4.
It's like
I encountered you in the wild. That's number 4. And you know what? There's a certain kind of person that'll buy a bad product.
Well, I didn't buy it. I actually won it from an arcade game.
Oh, that's even less impressive.
Okay.
Like, that's even worse for the Wii U, right? Like, that's even worse now. So it's 3 people who wasted their money and 1 guy who got lucky.
Yeah. They didn't have the machine set up right. They fixed it right after I won.
Of course. But my point is that the you're right. Like, they get on their high horse. They're very full of themselves, and they think that they're still on the right path.
Yeah.
And they don't. This is just Japanese companies. I know because at the company I worked with, there was a Japanese office, and they were very rigid. You know, it was hard to get them to adjust. It always took them longer than everyone else to. They weren't very dynamic or adaptable. I'd say American companies are too dynamic, hire and fire way too rapidly. Japanese companies can be way too stagnant and really hard to like get momentum.
I'm really interested to see what if Capcom ever falls into that trap again. Because they seem to be doing, they're doing some weird stuff. I won't praise them too much because they have like the battle pass for RE4 and like they're doing strange stuff for like people are mad at them for Street Fighter 6 because the content.
Battle passes for solo games.
Yeah, they have season pass and all of that stuff.
And season pass these nuts. How about that?
The game is still good, but they're really sour with all of the stuff that
20 years ago.
Yeah, well, we live in the age of remakes. Every movie is a remake of a remake. Every game is a remaster of a remake, of a revision, of a redo.
Yeah.
You know, we've brought back Scrumby 2 now in Unreal 6. It still runs bad. You want it? $70.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see. I don't know. I think I am not surprised to hear that it sold well, but I don't think it's going to sell as well as the Switch originally did.
I point that out mostly because that's what people always point to. The number that's like, oh, it sold well. It's like, I'm thinking to myself, well, of course it did.
Well, listen, this happened. This kind of thing happens all the time. People don't understand what indicators are. They don't really understand how to consume the data. This happened with, we talked about this in a past episode and we touched on it earlier, Steam versus Epic, right? I would get into these arguments with people who like were for some reason pro Epic and I was like, it's not even working. And they say, I think they're winning. And I'm like, why? And they'd point to a number and I'd go, what about this number indicates to you success? And like, it's a big number. And I'm like, how much of it is profit? How much of that profit are they wasting? How can we see a direct correlation between their number go up and competitor number go down? Right?
Yeah.
The answer is no. The answer is there is no profit because they are spending more than they're getting back. And the answer is that their competitors' numbers are at an all-time high.
It's because they put everyone... It's because Fortnite has made them stupid money so they can throw away stupid money on stupid things.
Which is actually fine. There is nothing wrong with an organization that has a primary product that makes oodles of money and they use that money to experiment. The difference is that when you, the outside consumer, are attempting to argue with me about finance in the corporate sector, please, desperately please, do even a modicum of data analysis.
Well,
I'm not even asking for like you even to have a degree in it or to even have ever practiced it professionally. Like just use ChatGPT. Like, it's not good. ChatGPT is wrong all the time, but at least it'll provide you an answer that isn't what you said.
Well, here's the thing. I think if you even try to just use the product, because the Epic Game Store is ass, but it used to be much worse.
Yes.
It's like you used to not even have a shopping cart.
The very people who would defend it didn't even really use it because they're really just contrarians, you know, because everyone online thinks they need to have an opinion with no expertise and no reason to even have that opinion. You know, sometimes people ask me my opinion about something and I go, I don't know. And they go like, why do you know? Because I don't care. It's not relevant to me. It'll never affect my life, so I don't have an opinion, right? Or they're shocked by my opinion. How could you have that opinion? Well, I have no ability to change it, and I have to look after myself and my family. So I need to choose the selfish choice because choosing the unselfish position will not solve the problem for anybody, except make my life more difficult.
Yeah.
You know, like it's not a solution. So, you know, but that's my point is just people don't know how to consume data. So like you said, they point at big number and they go, that means it's good. And I go, but compared to what, my friend? Compared to what?
And this just goes back to like consoles in general is like what Xbox is like, I'm sure they'll make another Xbox, but who's going to buy it? And PlayStation, is it really relevant anymore?
I would be very surprised if we actually see a PlayStation 6.
I know that they're saying they're going to make one.
I don't know if they will. We'll see, because I feel like it's going to be their biggest financial flop ever. You want to know the mistake?
They're releasing on PC.
Console scarcity. Console scarcity happened with PlayStation 5.
No.
And what sold it, I made this mistake. What sold it is it's really hard to get, so people are going to want it. I made it for a different reason. It's because I had games I wanted to play on stream. Back then, streaming was earning me a lot of money. So I kind of felt that streaming, it was important that I invest in it because it was still during, COVID. And, I was making extra a few $1,000s a month. I needed to like keep that going.
That's interesting. I think even for streamers, buying a console is a bad deal. Unless you primarily, because like the only reason you would buy a console is for a Nintendo console, because Nintendo, I'd be interested to see if
they do good on stream. I can always pull up a Mambrio and people will watch.
It's like it's good on stream, but I also wonder how long are they gonna be in the console game?
Yeah, I don't know. I do think, but that's the point of this discussion, isn't it?
Yeah,
it's the Switch 2. How long are they going to be in the console game? How long is anyone going to be in the console game? I think it's sunsetting. I think we've got a few people, a few holdouts, who Microsoft figured it out, and they jumped ship. And PlayStation laughed at them, and that's going to bite them in the ass.
Yeah.
PlayStation is the Microsoft people who laughed Gabe Newell out of the office.
PlayStation did this twice. I think they did it with the PS3. They was like, we're going to make a very complicated cell architecture. People are only going to develop for us because like it was like PlayStation 2 did so well. So like they're going to be busy with our cell architecture. They're not going to develop for the Xbox 360. Xbox 360 made a simple, like I think x86 PC. It was like, you guys develop on this. More people develop for the Xbox 360.
Yep.
And then it's like now is like they came back with like they came back at the end of that, but like now at like PS4 era they're coming back more because I forgot what even happened then. I wasn't even console gaming because PS4 you had to pay for online. They had
PS4 has no games. PS5 has no games.
Yeah, PS4 has no games.
Well, it does have it has Talladega Nights. Right, that's what the PS4 has, and it also has a really good movie called Metal Gear Solid 4.
It has Bloodborne.
That's true, but that was also on PS3,
and it's a very good Blu-ray player.
Listen, don't you want to watch the movie Metal Gear Solid 4. I love saying it. I have a friend who really loves Metal Gear Solid 4 and gets really angry when people call it a movie, which it is. It's an interactive movie. It's not a game. It's an interactive movie. It's an interactive movie, my friends.
And the only reason you'd buy an Xbox is for emulating old Xbox games. That's honestly the only reason I thought about buying a console recently, is like just to emulate like SSX Tricky on a new Xbox, is to play old games.
I will say nowadays, I think any investment that isn't on a personal computer is just not worth your time. I just don't think buying a console is worth your time. I think that you will inevitably, and you know what? This is interesting because I was about to mention something. I don't encourage the illegal downloading of emulated products, but Nintendo is bending over backwards to try to stop emulation. But you know what Gabe Newell said 15 years ago? The way to beat piracy is to offer such a good product that the difficulty of pirating is not worth the value that you bring to the product.
It's funny because CD Projekt Red does that too, and they're one of the they're like one of the frontliners on the Switch too. It's like that's the whole philosophy of GOG Games.
Yeah, well, I would never encourage someone to illegally pirate modern available games. Do pirate abandonware because that's legal, but don't pirate illegal ROMs. However, if your worry is that people are illegally pirating your ROMs, why are they doing that? It's because what you offer is not worth more than just getting it.
Yeah.
Because piracy isn't as easy as you think. Even if everything's working, you still have to have a fair understanding of a computer to get the emulator working.
Yeah. Because here's the thing. As much as work as they're doing on the Switch 2 to make it so that it's not pirated, it's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen.
It's
gonna happen.
It's probably not gonna happen as badly as the Switch 1, but it's like I'm confident that in like
there is
5
nothing
years,
that doesn't eventually become emulated and be pirated.
They said the PS3 was unpiratable. Now the best way to play Demon Souls or many modern many PS3 games is on the RPCS3 emulator, and they even have online. You can play
online. You don't even need you don't even need to pay them for it.
Yeah, and if you want to play on the PS3, there's a chance that it doesn't work and you can't download your games.
It's astonishing. It truly is astonishing how bad consoles are in the modern era.
Yeah.
It's crazy. But that's my point. But if all of those games were on Steam, it would use Steam server infrastructure.
Yeah.
You know, it would use Steam, because that's the great thing is when you make a game for Steam, you can use their server infrastructure to do all the matchmaking for you. And it works really well because it's streamlined. And so if those games were on there, they'd still work and people wouldn't need to pirate them to play them.
And what's interesting, well, I know you're going to say like Linux. I understand Linux is not great, but with how they're working with Proton, if a game doesn't work with a more recent like installation, you could always go to the old Proton version that did work on, and it will just run well.
I will say this again because I said this to you before. I don't think Linux is bad. I only fight against the people who try to argue with me every time I explain why I don't use Linux.
I understand.
It's because it's feelings. It's the thing we talked about off stream. It's people have a reaction based on feelings, and it's like, I understand that you use it and it is good for you, but your argument that it just works is incorrect, and here are all the examples.
I hate the terms "it just works" because it doesn't even work for consoles these days.
No, it doesn't. Todd Howard lives in my head rent free. It just works. And you just watch your horse fly off into the distance.
It's a feature. It's working.
It's working as intended. Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, I feel like we've pretty much covered the subject completely. Is there anything else you wanted to say or cover?
I feel like we should do more cooking on this.
We'll cook a little bit more.
Yeah.
Yeah. On what? Are we just putting eggs on our consoles?
We should just like
do a cooking show on podcast. Like remove this table, put a grill, and just be griddling.
Just make those noises. Not even.
Yeah, so well, it's coming from upstairs. I love that. It would be even better if it was right here.
Yeah.
Get a PS5,
Okay.
whatever they call the Xbox, and see which one cooks a steak faster by overheating.
Hear me out though.
Oh.
Private hibachi. We are recording while eating hibachi.
Actually,
Kind of cool.
Did you know? Do you follow Evo at all?
Not even slightly.
I'll tell you a funny story. Evo is owned by PlayStation. They have PlayStation consoles. People were complaining that their controllers were being melted because they had to plug it into the PlayStation console and they were on for too long. They were melting their controller ports. The PS5.
Oh. Hey, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
This is another reason to buy Sony's premium products. Yeah, well, as enticing as that is, I think I'm going to stick to PC.
Yes.
And one day I'll have to switch away from Windows because Microsoft is a poison and we need an antidote.
If you want, I can set up that old laptop with something and then you can try things with it. It will not work.
I won't get to try games on it.
Depends on the game, but you could try Beyond.
I could try well, finally, that's what I was looking for.
It's an option just to figure things out for if you do eventually.
I just need to make sure that all of the premium pornography that I consume will run well on Linux.
Oh, that'll be fine. It's don't worry. If nothing else, Linux has plenty of people who will make sure that works.
You can always rely on that.
Yeah.
Well, if you made it to the end, thank you for being here. Remember that you are a real one. Zipper, Bottle, random stranger who thinks I'm exceptionally handsome and wants to save me from the skinwalker in my house. I appreciate you too. But thank you for watching, Manser. Thank you. Michael, thank you. And as always, we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.